Welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Sabrina Wright, and I am a guest host today on the Dr. Pat Show. I want to express my deep gratitude and thankfulness to Dr. Pat and the Transformation Talk Radio staff and hosts and guests that we've had on this year for their heart to serve, for their heart to share, for their heart of gratitude and wanting to help be the transformation that we see in the world. And without them and without Dr. Pat, I wouldn't be here. If you do not know me, my name is Sabrina Wright, and I have a show called Live the Good Life Show. And it's on the second Thursday of every month here on Transformation Talk Radio at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. We have an amazing lineup of guests. I'm so excited to introduce them to you and to just kind of sit in on our conversations that we have as girlfriends, as professionals, as women who are changing the world through what we do in our everyday lives and how we show up in our businesses. My first guest that I'd like to introduce is Lisa Hatch. She's a plant-based living advocate, a holistic health coach, an environmental steward, and a blue zone seeker. Lisa has always enjoyed helping people and empowering them to continually better themselves, their lives, and the lives of those around them. Being a plant-based living advocate and a holistic health coach, all of this partners and brings with her a partnership that she has to a company that's unequivocally committed to conscious, eco-friendly, organic, sustainable, and cruelty-free practices, along with their whole food, plant-based, non-toxic natural products that are backed by science and lab tested, because these products and this company allows her to positively impact countless lives. Lisa is a part of this good for humans, good for animals, and good for the planet movement. And she fills it with pride and gratitude every day and shares her joy and her love with those that she comes in contact with. Welcome, Lisa. So excited to have you.
Oh, thank you. That was quite an introduction. I'm like, I don't know if she's talking about me, but thank you.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure to have you. We have another guest. Her name is Andrea B. Jasper, and she's the founder and inspiration behind Studio A Pilates and Yoga in Dana Point, California. She was born and raised in Southern California and has always been inspired by beauty and the breathtaking, limitless landscape that surrounds her. Andrea's hard and selfless work in Studio A is mirrored by her passion for outdoor adventures, including ocean sports, hiking local trails, and I love this, growing her own farm-to-table garden. With a devotion to help people of all ages live an active and pain-free life through the natural articulation of mind, body, and spirit, Andrea has reached a level of mastery in her craft, sharing with as many people as possible. I'd like you to meet Andrea Jasper. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, Sabrina. It's so nice to be here and to be among you, Lisa, and Lisa. Just delighted to be a part of this conversation today.
Terrific.
Thank you, Sabrina.
You bet. Now, our next guest is a Lisa also. This is Lisa Wynn Salvatore, and she is a nationally licensed and she's certified in the field of alternative wellness management, fusing formal studies of nutrition and allied health services with physiognomy, aromatherapy, massage therapy, meditation, and aesthetics. Lisa's passion for well-being extends to the animal world as well. She is impassioned about saving Indian elephants, and as the alternative wellness advocate for Wildlife SOS, which is a conservation nonprofit, Lisa has traveled to India to work with these amazing sentient beings. Lisa's also the formulator of Pure Pits organic deodorant, produced by her all-woman run company, Purely Lisa. Lisa, Andrea, and Lisa, welcome to the show.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
What an incredible year we have had, individually and collectively, right?
Indeed.
So I'm going to just start out with a real heavy question because I do that. So what have you learned about yourself this year?
I'm gonna jump in right away on that one.
Okay.
Because there indeed was a lot of learning to do, and I think the biggest thing for me was really recognizing resilience. Not only with what I was capable of doing in the front of, as we all have had to do, of this pandemic, really going inward and going deep, but resiliency is something that really has come to the forefront because of all of the challenges.
Sure. I would imagine that it's really been more finely defined as well, because in typical operating fashion, we become resilient just with typical life challenges, that happen outside of changing social conditions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think too, along with that comes a tremendous amount of patience and a little bit of soul seeking, and again, diving deep. And so for me, I felt that it was really an opportune time. And I think, one of my favorite words is opportunity, because we can always create something out of that. So I know for me, those were some of the key points that worked for me.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Well, and Lisa, you've done so much aesthetic work as of, for so many years. Will you share how you've gone, like you said, more inward, and how that really affects the outward appearance? Like, I think the work you're doing, even more so now, you've always done it, but you're really focusing on it more, is that inner health and that inner peace and that inner calm and that inner resiliency, right? And what you're doing, how you've you're slowly shifting more toward working with people, not just on their exteriors, but their interiors.
Right. And I thanks for putting it that way, because I started 40 years ago in aesthetics, and then I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper. And in my new program, in embodyangembrace.com, I'm really looking to sort of peel back the onion, if you will, with people. It's not always about really what do we look like on the outside. I'm much more concerned, particularly now, with what's happening on the inside. So really the only way out is by going in. And I have found that being able to coach / mentor people, we can dive really deep into some clarity. Sometimes we struggle to find that clarity. We don't really know what it is. We don't know how to identify it. And that's really where I come in to not only do that for others, but I have to do that for myself, right? So we have to take a look at that self-healing and that self-care. And, I kind of giggle at the word enlightenment. go spend a week with your family and come back and tell me how enlightened you are. I always laugh about that, but not to say that we don't have good family relationships, but enlightenment really is being able to just see through or sit with the light and the dark. And I think that at this particular time, this is something that we've all really had to take a look at. There's been devastating effects on families and businesses throughout this process. So if we can really go inward and get clear, then big things happen. There's where those aha moments come in.
Well, but you really walk it just goes to show that you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. You have to work on yourself. You have to be the best before you can be the best version of yourself to others, right?
Correct. And that's always work. That's a daily little project, isn't it? You know, we have to always check in with ourselves and see what it is that's working and maybe what's not working. And then we have our desires. What about all these great deep desires? I don't always like to use the word goals, because goals, you know, you reach it and then what happens? And then you reach it and then what happens? So a desire is something, again, that we have to look at a little bit deeper, and then we can keep those desires going and we can manifest and we can create really that luminous life that we are all meant to live. That's just for my belief. And that's getting away from these belief systems too that we have in our head, where we think we can't. And if you keep thinking that you can't, you won't. But if you know that you can, you will.
And I think part of what you're saying too about that introspection is that's where you test those beliefs.
Correct. Absolutely. And feel them, right? We have to be able to actually feel what's going on before we can begin to get a little clear. And then we have this beautiful alignment of what it is that we desire. So I think that's pretty important.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Lisa Hatch, how about you? What have you learned about yourself?
How vital it is for me to do exactly what Lisa was saying, and to do things, to take the time and make the time. Mm-hmm. Like Lisa was saying before we went on, that she, 11 years going strong of meditating every day. Like when you're that committed, it's like, and Andrea will talk too about this, but like, I am so committed to doing this melt method and to moving my body and to nourishing it. Like you've touched on the plant-based nutrition, hydration, all those things, and how important it is, because then I get to do my stand-up paddleboarding because I feel strong and I feel I'm energetic and I'm not tired and I don't feel pain when I'm moving my body and all those things. And I think so often during these crises, these different really challenging times in our lives, we're putting out all these fires everywhere else instead of really taking care of ourselves so we can do our best job of taking care of others. And I think making that time and really making it, no matter what, to do, I mean, things come up, but I think that's something, and really staying connected to people. I learned how absolutely critical it is, because I saw people that didn't stay connected to people and how that really impacted them. So really it's that whole, what the four of us always talk about, that all aspects of the holistic approach is far better, because when you're lacking in one area, it rolls into all those other areas of your life. So if your relationships you're not staying connected, then that's going to affect your physical health. And then that affects your emotional health and your spiritual health and your financial, like it just kind of all. But I think that's what I learned the most, is to just really take the time and to stay present.
Right. One thing I've learned from you this year, thank you in advance, thank you, is that there are non-negotiable. There need to be non-negotiables in self-care. And we can all, and everybody talks about self-care and what it looks like and how different it is from one individual or another. I think it's important that it becomes non-negotiable, truly non-negotiable for every individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've said that. You're like, oh my gosh, you don't miss melt. And I said, no, you don't miss you. Nope. I mean, there are times, absolutely, there are times. Missed it last week because my daughter and bonus son were here. But some things, if you can make them non-negotiable, like showering and brushing your teeth,
Yeah.
right? Meditation, melt, like move your, like eat, like all those things. There's some things that are just non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
You know, or you just make the choice. You just decide like, this is the choice I'm going to make every day.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's how I look at it, that it's not really something that I negotiate. It's just a choice. And, you know, I choose every day to care for myself in different ways. And as you said, Sabrina, it's very individual on what brings you joy and what brings you happiness and well-being, overall well-being, where it could be where you pray or you meditate, or it could be where there's a method that you use. Like for me, it's melt and, you know, Pilates and yoga and, you know, just being around people, you know, relationship is so key. And my family, you know, I mean, I have a grand family and I'm very blessed with that. But I couldn't do all of these things that I love to do, as you described in that, you know, sweet little bio, if I didn't self-care. You know, I could decide to stay in and, you know, within myself where I don't, you know, go out and be a part of this world in the way that I can. And, you know, I almost feel that it's a responsibility and a duty, you know, that we have to reach out, you know, to everybody that we can in a way that's accessible for us to do so. So for me, learning what I learned this year, you know, it was a lot of patience, a lot of self-reflection, and just really looking at things a little bit with a little more intention. With how I could do something or what I could do for, you know, for me, for my family, for that those are around me. And this kind of platform, you know, we reach a lot more people than we normally would have. So it is a blessing, you know, and a curse sometimes, you know, when we're part of this, you know, this platform. So.
Wow, thank you. That's so true. We've got to take a break right now. So you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show. And I'm your guest host, Sabrina Wright, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And we're going to talk about the choices that we've made this year and how they've actually impacted our lives. So we'll be back in a bit. I am your guest host, Sabrina Wright, and I'm here with my gal pals, my girlfriends, and we're talking about recapping 2021, out with the old and going in with the new in 2022. And so I want to ask, we've talked about just earlier about the fact that we've been making choices this year and how those choices have taken us inward to do some reflection, to do some self-assessment, and how we've come out of that. I want to ask, for those choices that you've made this year, how has it really impacted your life? And self-care is a running theme through all of us. And we have non-negotiables. Has anything changed in that with the choices that were made this year that brought you illumination, an aha, greater joy? I mean, what's happened? Tell me.
Yeah, I think for me, I know that I created more space for even more exercise, using red light therapy, biomats, you know, just implementing in other tools to take myself deeper and deeper, and also to really be even more committed because of, you know, what we are subjected to in the environment right now. So it gave me a lot more space to create, and then it's kind of fun. It's like having my own little spa at home. And I think that self-care is really, it's integral. It's something that everybody really needs to do. And taking a look at, what are your choices with your food, and how are we nourishing not only through food, but through everything else that, that we can, utilizing all these different tools, whether it be melt and Pilates, yoga, the plant-based living, whether it's just a meditation, and it's just about the commitment. What are you committed to? Where are those desires? What would you really like to implement in? And these are the things I had to ask myself, how do I want to make my life bigger that way? Because for me, I'm a person that lives alone. So it's very easy to become a hermit. So for me, what Lisa Hatch was talking about was I really reached out to people. And there's such a huge benefit in that, because, we have these loving conversations and walks, and things just get deeper and deeper, and that interconnectedness became much more ever present for me. So those were just some of the few things that I had a good chance to reflect on, and very, just feeling so grateful and honored that I was be able to do that with people. And again, it was a nice way to reach out to those who you knew, who else was alone. How many other people are living through these times by themselves?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's important to reach out. It's important to stay connected. And it's important to just keep the heart open.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Andrea, how about you? I see all of those stockings behind you. And at the break, you said they're 15. So how did your choices impact your life and the lives of the others that you interact with, your family?
I'm blessed with a nice, lovely, large, ever-growing immediate family with my children and their spouses and their children. And for me, I took up journaling again.
Oh, great.
I used to journal a lot, and then I stopped for a while, and I'm not quite sure why. I think I just, one day turned into 2, and then 3, and then a month, and then a year where I wasn't really journaling. And so I was reintroduced to it again through a wonderful, person that I know that in her creation started printing and publishing different journals that, you could purchase and use. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it really did open up a lot to me. I was able to ask myself questions, every day, and, see how I could, manifest the answers, how they would come to me. And a lot of those questions were, how do I create and maintain joy in my life? So that I could be, like Lisa said, the best that I could be for my husband and my children and my grandchildren. I have, a mother that's aging and, trying to be present for her, and a grandmother that's still alive. She just turned 106. Wow. And so, how do I, be present for them? Whether it be traveling or just, taking the time out of my day to do that, where before I was like, I can't take any time out of my day because I've got to work, I've got to, got my business and everything going. And so, and Lisa knows, I work very hard, but I'm also given the opportunity through the studio to be in contact with so many different people of all ages, of all levels of where they are in life. And, it's interesting to me. It keeps my curiosity as to how, I can help and how I learn from them. So I'm a constant student, I learn from, like right now I'm learning from all of you. And I think just keeping that curiosity alive for me, really does help expand, my knowledge and my empathy and my compassion and my love. For everybody, whether it's the person at the grocery store or even, someone that I might just meet. And, I used to never start conversations with people, I would be kind of like nervous about that. But now I feel more open and okay with that. So, so those are the things that I've done for my family. And I know that it reflects in my relationships with them to be more present and just be available, in any way that I can. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That sounds lovely. Sounds like you had a lovely holiday. I can just
Yeah.
imagine it.
It was very fun. We had a good time.
How about you, Miss Lisa Hatch?
Well, in listening to all of it, through this conversation, I feel like last year and even in life, we have to be flexible because even the best laid plans, like you said, you like Lise, you always make time you prioritize, you have non-negotiable. Well, that's because Andrea was so kind to, when her studio was closed, did it online. So people, you can't just, oh, my gym's closed, I can't work out. Well, go outside and walk, like pivot, don't be afraid to step out of that, your regular routine or your comfort zone, and maybe do something a little bit different and be flexible and find the good in everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is, even in the darkest, most horrific, there was always something good. And that's what, you just got to find it.
You do it. And it's not, and this is something that I've learned even more and deeper this year, is that it's emotional connections to myself as well as to my friends, my families, my clients, and to like Andrea said, everybody that you interact with out there in the world. It's it's a matter of choice, and everything that's occurring in your life is pushing you forward. You have a choice to get there a little quicker if you choose not to overwhelm yourself with why, how, what did I do? All of those questions, which to me at this point in our lives seems more hindsight instead of more forward looking, more forward thinking. It's like, okay, so I'm here now. I've learned this. I've moved past this. I'm moving toward what? And then there's that expectancy. Like Andrea said, you're learning something every day from people that you talk to, things that you read. What are you bringing into your life? You're learning constantly every single day. So choose it. Choose to look for that good and just pitter pat after it. Go for it.
Well, in relationships, I remember there was this TED talk I heard that the woman was talking about how, and I know I've shared it with all three of you, but how they looked at the 10 top keys to longevity, like what were the determinants of longevity? And the woman giving the TED talk said, of course, movement, diet, no smoking, that sort of thing was on there. But the top two, the second, not the top, not the first, but the second one was, how are you staying engaged and nurturing your relationships with your close friends and family? The top one was what Andrea said. How are you interacting with the person at the cashier at the grocery store, or at the post office, or at the counter of where you're picking up your to-go, whatever it is? We are hardwired for connection, in the words of Brene Brown, and we need that. And so that's why you have to be flexible. Like Andrea can't see her 106-year-old grandmother all the time. She lives in upstate New York, and Andrea's here in Southern California, but they Zoom and she talks on the phone. So my daughter lives in Maine with my bonus son. I can't see them every day or often like I do my son that lives in LA. So you've got to find ways, right? Create ways. And the other thing about relationships is that, I'm healthier because of the three of you, by far, because of our connection and because of our conversations and because of how much I value and admire and look up to all three of you. And I appreciate your wisdom and your insight. And so when you're doing that with other people, it makes us be better people. The more we're with people, it makes us be. So that's it's together we are so, what do I say? Together we are better, stronger, and infinitely more powerful.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
And when we share our gifts, like that is where the magic is, because everybody has gifts, whether it's you're a good organizer or you're good at another language or whatever it is, we all have gifts and they need to be shared, and people need to be less apprehensive and more willing to share them with others. I think people get afraid and they're uncomfortable and they're, it's like, we just need to be more unabashed in sharing our gifts.
I like that word. I want to use that more this year. Unabashed.
Good one.
I do. I like saying it. I like the way it rolls off my tongue. Unabashed. There's an energy and a vibrancy to it. So, I mean, let's do it. Let's go there. Let's be that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is rich conversation. I'm getting so much out of this. I'm so excited. Do you ladies typically sit down and make resolutions? I mean, really anymore? I know I don't.
No, I don't really either. I think it's more about really the reflection and the direction that I want to go, without putting these superficial demands, which can set us up for defeat, right? How many people do you listen to say, well, it's a new year, I'm going to lose weight. And then after the second week, and that's really, I think it's defeating, isn't it? And the other thing too about all of this is, when we're going through all of this, we have to look at too, well, what wasn't serving us? And, for me this year, I had to let be of a few relationships that I realized were really not serving and really were not in alignment with who I desire to be. And I think that was pretty special.
Mm-hmm. That's not easy to do.
It isn't.
No, it's not. It's not easy to do, but
it's so important and so critical to do.
Yeah, for sure. So, again, I think it just creates this wonderful opportunity to, for this transformation, if you will, to become that change agent, right? I think it can be really difficult to do, because some people really don't know how to do that, how to even go from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. So during all this time, it's another great, here I go again with that word, opportunity, because there's just, it's infinite. The possibilities become infinite. And
it's ongoing. Like, I feel like people, it's like what you said earlier, Lisa, where you said something about, you set a goal and then you get, people set a goal to eat health, and then they do it, and then they get there, and then they're like, okay, now what? Like, but the ongoingness, it's like Andrea saying she learns something every day. Like, when we know, what does Maya Angelou say? When we know better, we do better. So we just continue to be learners and to reflect and to take what's serving us and our communities well, and keep doing those things, and maybe eliminate some things like what you just said.
Yeah, and Andrea brought up a good point about about the joy in it too, as well, is finding the joy, whatever it is that is your heart's desire. What are those desires? Where do you want to go next? What is it that really gets you excited? For me, it's even more of some of the deeper work with the elephants. We're just making such huge strides there. So it's really exciting, and it's about getting excited and then not staying, shifting into another paradigm. And Andrea also brought up a really good point about journaling, because when we start to journal and we look at the things and say, I am, instead of, oh, I wish, I am that wish, I am this, I have that. And putting it into the I changes the whole nature really of the thought pattern, and putting it more in from going from, thinking to being to doing, really to putting it into action.
Excellent point.
Doesn't that remind you, Sabrina and Andrea, doesn't that remind you of Ryan Daly saying, instead of, I want to eat healthier, I want to exercise more, I choose to eat healthier. I choose to move my body more. That's where the action comes in. What you were saying, Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And affirming that. Yeah. Affirming it.
Excellent point. We've got to go to a break. And when we come back, what are we choosing to take into the new year that we're celebrating? So you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show, and we'll be right back after this message. My name is Sabrina Wright, and I am your guest host today, and I am joined by some amazing women filled with lots of wisdom, encouragement, and information that we hope to empower and encourage you to make some changes and become your best self in 2022. So ladies, how did we celebrate this last year, and what are we taking into the new year? Because really, we made it through 2021. We've learned a lot. We've contributed a lot. We've seen a lot of changes. And tell us about some celebrations. I know, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think for me, it's about more travel. Yeah.
Yay.
Travel, courage to do more with might not only just travel, but personal and professional relationships, more love, more joy, and getting together again with that. Lisa, you were talking about that, the feeling of the interconnectedness, because thank goodness for Zoom. Right?
Oh, yes.
Just Absolutely. Like Andrea was talking about, her grandma who's 106 years old. What a beautiful way to get to jump on and be able to see face to face. Right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think it's just experimenting, right? Just experimenting.
I like that. How about you, Andrea?
Well, I love the courage, because I know that there are points in my life that will require, some courage for me to move forward in some of the desires that, I've put forth. And looking forward to learning, the ebb and the flow and the dark and the light. And for me, life is a big celebration, and, I'll continue doing the things that, do bring me joy, and maybe, a little seeking, on some new things for me, moving forward, and what that's going to look like. It's such a great thing because the unknown is so, it's exciting. It's a little scary, but it's exciting at the same time. And I do look forward to some traveling. I haven't done a lot of that except for seeing my grandmother, which was a delightful trip. But, for me, it's just, how can I continue with the daily care that I do, for myself, and to continue choosing that, with Lisa, and, learning more. So I'm learning more about, plant-based life, and implementing that a little bit more and more with my family, which has been fun too, to introduce, a different way. And continuing to make sure I get enough sleep, that I am as healthy as I possibly can. And, love my mountain method, learning more and more about that. And having the opportunity to teach other people how to self-care through that is always, I'll never tire of it. It's just a great thing. And, and then the relationships, just continuing to nurture and care for those, and, create new ones, like today. So I'm just so happy to be here. Yeah.
Terrific. How about you, Lise?
Well, I couldn't agree more with you, Lisa, and I couldn't agree more with you, Andrea. And I also want to add vulnerability in sharing, again, not being unabashed about sharing the benefits of plant-based, like because it's not just because how I feel about the sweet little animals, but it's really for people's overall health, and not just other people's, and the kindness and the compassion toward the animals, but really for the health of our world. I mean, I feel so strongly about that. And I know you guys all do too. And I think the more I can share that in a gentle, kind way and not in a, judgmental, I don't know, kind of policing way.
Right.
And to really, I feel like if we all, like I was saying earlier, if we all share our gifts, we think of if the world would be such a better place if we all shared our gifts, if we all just did that. And I think also I want to do more meditation. I want to do more of that. I'm getting better at it. I think that yoga has taught me to just be sitting in silence and sit with myself, but really like taking time, carving out time to do that. And I'm relying on my dear friend Lisa to help me get there.
Lisa, I think that's a really good point because, that's what yoga is a meditation in motion, right?
Well, and that's why I like yoga. That's why I prefer it over Pilates, because I feel the more meditative aspect of it, even though I really enjoyed the one time I did the reformer thing. I just like that meditative part of it.
Right.
More journaling.
Yeah. And there's also no such thing as getting better at meditation, right?
I think it's me taking the time to do it, set aside the time to do it. Yeah,
absolutely. That's
what I need to get better at, is taking, for sure.
Sure.
Right.
That's wonderful. That's so exciting. For me, what I've learned so much, especially from you ladies, but I've really oh wow. I've really learned how to express my gratitude more, and am working on that unabashedly perspective of it. Yeah.
But it's like what Andrea said, Sabrina, it's like more love. Like, let's love more.
And it really does
show our gratitude more.
Yes. And it starts with really understanding, I believe, understanding yourself better. We've been brought up in a culture and in a world where it's about doing and not being. And we are identified by our doing, which then not dehumanizes, but marginalizes who we are as individuals, who we are on a spirit level, what our soul and our heart are trying to express. And it's through the self-care and the intentional internal reflection and care that allows us to be brighter, to be bigger, to be bolder, to have a greater impact, and to love unconditionally. But until you do that for yourself, it's nearly impossible to do it for other people. Nearly impossible. So, yeah, I mean, 2022 is going to be a really exciting year. It's going to be a year of lots of celebrations. And I think that there are going to be big breakthroughs for individuals and big breakthroughs for just the health of people, the true, real health of people. And I'm so thankful and grateful that all of us together here in this group are going to be spearheading that and being part of that shift and that change. Thank you. Thank you so much for your love, your gracious participation and willingness to engage and discuss and show up. I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely. So how can I encourage and support each of you in this new year in what your endeavors are? Sincerely.
Stay connected.
I was just gonna say that.
Stay connected.
Okay.
And hold me accountable, you know?
And also holding, I think it's important to hold that space for us all.
Okay.
And really, and reaching, and for us to recognize that we need to reach out to others who really are in need. This is a really opportune time for it. You know, it's one thing to make our own lives beautiful, but how do we make somebody else's life beautiful? Equally as important. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, because there's no greater feeling than making a difference.
That's
positive
right.
difference in somebody else's life.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the invitation, you know, just to extend the invitation to another, to, you know, for anything, just to listen, or to just be present or hold space, or just to go out for a walk, you know, like you're doing with your friends, Lisa, you know, where you're, you know, just extend the hand, you know, extend the heart. And, you know,
Sometimes the smallest
someone will
thing-
be there to reach out.
Yes,
you know.
and sometimes the smallest things, we have no idea the tremendous impact they have on other people.
Absolutely.
I think that's true. You know, and even as all of us as practitioners in all of this, we too need that, right?
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
And Andrea, just what you're talking about in terms of just the invitation. Let somebody know that you know that they're on your mind.
Yes.
Yes.
They matter.
Absolutely.
They're heard.
What could be better, right?
Right, because we all want that.
It's a loving intention, and it's heartfelt, it's soulful, it's joyous, and as Andrea's T-shirt so greatly explains, love really does win, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Indeed. Indeed.
It does.
does. I'm a firm believer in what you send out there, you get back in, you know, 20-fold.
Exponentially.
And, you know, it's, everyone benefits.
Andrea, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Probably the easiest way is through the studio. You can go to our website at www.studioapilates.yoga. There's a contact button, and you know, just contact me directly through that, or there's a phone number too for the studio that you can call. And I'd love to help introduce, you know, what I do, you know, through the melt method or Pilates or yoga, even just, you know, with my journaling and the things that I have in store for next year, you know, some really fun workshops and some, you know, really good ways to inform people of choices that they could make, and how I can support them to do that. But those are probably the best ways to get in touch with me.
We've got
You're virtual. So if people want to, I know that I've been in so many classes where somebody's traveling and she's in Chicago or he's in New York and he's taking a class. So you offer in person and online. And
we'll continue to do that.
First class is free. So take a class.
Always. Yeah. Always free.
Class. You'll be like me.
Yeah. We're here to support you as best as we possibly can. And yeah, we'll continue to do that. And starting a library now where you can pull some classes. If you miss one, you can just grab it when you get.
Great. Thank you so much, ladies, for talking and meeting today. This has been heart-changing. And I hope that everybody has a happy new year. And for Transformation Talk Radio, Dr. Pat, myself and my guests, thank you so much for listening. And we'll catch you next year.
Happy New Year.
That's right.
Bye. Thank you,
Happy New Year,
Sabrina.
everybody.